neurodivergent speakers group began 2 years ago, believe it or not, and it was a special interest group. That's how it started. But over the time, it's grown a life of its own, and it's become one of the most active. It is more reciprocal. It's very strong values, very strong in fairness. It's one of the most reciprocal and values-led communities across the whole of the PSA. And this hasn't happened by accident. This has happened because of the way that neurodistinct people show up. I believe that we actually behave more like a region. And the reason we do is because our activity, our reciprocation, our collaborations are higher than average. We even do neurodivergent road trips, thanks to Charlie and Sam. We actually find ourselves being really proactive and supportive of each other. There is clear evidence of referrals, of loyalty, of mutual support. And that's not just theoretical inclusion, it's lived, visible impact. And that's why, due to the conversations I've had recently, I believe there is an appetite for us to create a neurodivergent region rather than just a group. And this would be a this would be
I knew it.
This is really important, and I spoke to the board today and I've had a bit of kickback, so I need to explain this to you. This would be a virtual region, and I think we need to look at the title and call it neurodistinct rather than neurodivergent, and I'll tell you why. First of all, I think it's important we understand why are we looking at this being a region rather than a group. And that's because if we remain a special interest group, this community will live or die on its goodwill. If we become a region, it becomes part of the PSA's architecture. It becomes part of its evolution. And it becomes a place where we can belong, where future neurodivergent speakers never have to ask permission to exist. To contribute or to lead. Okay, it's going to be a place that actively encourages neurodivergent speakers into our tribe in a way that it currently doesn't do. I did get some kickback with some people saying this feels exclusive, not inclusive. So this is where it becomes important for us to say, actually, what is this group? This is not a group where I want people to have a diagnosis in order to be able to join. This is why I'm leaning towards the neurodistinct element of it rather than neurodivergent. It isn't geographic, it isn't exclusionary, and it's aligned with modern professional identity, not postcode. It would be open to all PSA members, and there'd be no requirement for any diagnosis, for any label at all. It's simply a space that is designed with neurodistinct communication and processing in mind. Why I think it makes sense now is if we have a look at the last 12 months, it isn't a massive leap forward, it's a natural step, okay? In October 2024, the PSA had its first openly neurodivergent president in 25 years. And I proudly stick ADHD after my name, after FPSA. And anyone who's seen my talks will know that that is on all of my talks. I was very strongly advised against that. I was told by a lot of people, wind down the neurodivergent thing, you don't want people thinking less of you because of it. And this is my point. What that actually did is it gave people permission to be more open and celebratory about their neurodivergence. After that, we had our first ever neurodivergent panel on a main stage in PSA. We had our first ever neurodivergent lightning speed talks on main stage, described by even the fellows as groundbreaking and deeply educational for all speakers. And this proposal I want to put together is actually building on that momentum, and us becoming a region builds on that rather than halting it when the next president takes over and decides that they don't want to do anything in the neurodivergent space. Structurally, it's different to other groups because neurodivergence is not a professional niche. It's a neurological operating system that cuts across every single region, every topic, every career stage. It affects how people engage. It affects communication styles. It affects our sensory processing, our energy management, our executive functioning, meeting design and psychological safety. Why it belongs as a region or a regional structure, not just an interest group. Other groups could be, you know, a property specialist, a women's speaker, a black speakers group, or whatever. Those communities are best as an interest or an advocacy group, whereas neurodivergence fundamentally affects how people participate, as well as being able to educate other people in terms of how to include their neurodivergent people within their audiences, which obviously we are realising that more and more of our audiences are neurodivergent. But it is, I believe, one of the most exciting things that we can do to become a region and give back to the whole of the PSA. The intention that I've been speaking with some people in the group about is to have neurodistinct expert sessions where neurodivergent speakers share their insight, their lived experience, to help all speakers learn how to communicate inclusively. You know, and in order to be able to get more engagement from their audiences. So it's not about separating people, it's about raising the standard of communication for everyone. So practically, it's brilliant because if it's a virtual region, there are virtually no costs. There's tiny amounts of admin, which we will have to pay for. And there are going to be small meeting fees in order to be able to allow that to happen. There would be a very clear leadership structure. I would start off as regional president just to help Charlie, who I want to be vice president and take over as regional president. And I want a committee. Some of you in this group are going to be amazing on that committee, and we won't be able to do it without you. Simply won't be able to do it without you. It also creates access for neurodivergent speakers in some of Charlie's other groups, as an example, who haven't joined the PSA yet because they can't, because of mobility, because of accessibility, because of energy constraints. And we can offer them value that they currently can't get in the PSA because all they have is one choice, and that's to go to a virtual region. This gives much more benefit. And so hopefully we'll be able to bring more of those kind of people in. So what am I asking for? This has to be co-creation. This has to be all of us. This has to be a collaboration. I need your help in order to gather evidence, and that's evidence of the referrals that have been made between us, evidence of the collaborations that are formed between us, the confidence that you may have gained, or the visibility you may have increased, or whether you've decided to join the PSA, as I believe that Beth Thomas will say, joined the PSA purely because she knew that the neurodivergent thing was there. So that's an attraction that brought one person into the PSA. Are there more examples of that? Because what we need to do is we need to put a business case to the board in order for them to be able to accept it and to pass it at board level, which will happen at the next board meeting in January. So this has got to be built not for you, but by you as well. And I'm opening it up now to ask you, what questions do you have? First of all, do we think it's a good idea?
Yes!